welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber Brendan, I'm exploring a more aggressive take on control. This is inspired by an episode of Eternal Durdles where Force of Phil was talking about how do we actually get closing power into control decks because you can't just sit on your hands forever and die to Sowing Mycospawn in this metagame. And Brendan wanted me to explore kind of a bigger take on Stiflenought that does not feature Dreadnought. Instead, it plays Nulldrifter, which is a perfectly fine card to evoke, even if you're not ready to get paid with a Dress Down, Stifle, or Consign to Memory. You also sometimes just get to 7 mana in a control deck if the game goes that direction, which is another way to enable this thing. And the idea here is we are trying to play a longer game. There's no Dazes in this deck. There's not even Wasteland. We are just trying to get to 3 or 4 mana, then do something that turns the game in our favor and puts the opponent on the defensive. Everything that works with Nulldrifter also works with Uro. Uro also works in control decks, so we get kind of the dovetail there. The idea Brendan originally sent me started blue-white, then it became Jeskai for Flage, and then I was thinking about Flage and remembered that I just like Uro a lot, and it's legal in this format. And if we are trying to backdoor into, or I guess it would be front door, just kind of play Magic until we have 7 lands in play, Uro is better at doing that than Flage is. The cards that cheat our monsters into play are also just reasonable Magic cards to have in the metagame. We've got 1 Stifle, 2 Consigns, 4 Dress Downs. I could see the 3rd Dress Down being a 3rd Consign instead, and then that opens up a sideboard slot. That's much better versus Eldrazi and Combo, which are our difficult matchups, but Dress Down cantripping is better just if you're sitting around looking for something to do. Dress Down always cycles where these other cards don't. I think I'm going to leave it as 4 Dress Down, but if your local metagame is Eldrazi forward, you could even play up to 4 Consigns here and only 2 Dress Downs, or no Stifles, all Consigns. This is flexible, is what I'm saying. We've also got Tamiyo in high numbers here. Not quite the full boat. It is still a legendary creature, but 3 of them is a lot. Having a control deck that can lead on something your opponent has to worry about on turn 1, and then you follow it up with something your opponent has to worry about on turn 3 or 4. That's what we're trying to do here. And of course, my boy, Monastery Mentor, snuck this one in. Because basically what we're talking about is, after the Sensei's Divining Top ban, Miracles was in kind of a confusing place. People like OnZD, MTG were playing cards like Soothsaying to try to replicate that countertop experience. But I had a lot of success in that metagame by playing 3 main deck Monastery Mentors and just, Force of Will, Swords to Plowshares, get yourself to turn 3 or 4 of the game, and then just shove a Mentor with Force back up and quickly turn the corner. Which is the same thing we're talking about now, 6 or 7 years later, however long it's been since that was the case. Nulldrifter and Uro, kind of more exciting, but I do want 1 Monastery Mentor in here. This is the creature in the deck that you could just cast if you draw it. And I want it to have a home so desperately. That's the idea, kind of a bigger Stiflenought where control is the backup plan rather than tempo being the backup plan. Let's see if this scratches that control itch while also winning games. I'm going in. Legacy of the North is Ontario's premier MTG community. Experience the Legacy format in any of their 15-plus participating stores in Southern Ontario. The King in the North Invitational Series rewards the top 32 finishers each season with a chance to become the King or Queen of the North who get the trophy, the ring, and free Legacy events for the next season. Come to ETB Oakville's proxy-friendly Legacy 5K on March 29th to compete for big money and begin your King of the North journey. Info is at legacynorth.com, linked in the video description. I'm on the draw in round 1. I'm going to keep my hand. Force, blue card, plow, refill. And if I find one of my enablers before I refill, then I also have a 4/4. Island Ponder. Okay. I would be pretty excited to play some Honest Magic here. That does make the 2 Swords to Plowshares in my hand bad. Okay, it's Sneak and Show. Never mind. My opponent is a dishonorable knave. I'm just going to play Mysterian Force and pass the turn here. My plan is to pitch Ponder to Force of Negation and then use Brainstorm as an emergency if they have follow-up. Yeah, here we go. Though, putting in Nulldrifter is not the worst thing that could ever happen. Force pitching Ponder. Okay, they didn't have a follow-up to that, which is concerning in its own ways. Meticulous Archive, get that selection. Ugh. I mean, I do need 3 lands to play the game, but I need to be alive long enough for that to matter. Okay, would they daze a Brainstorm here? I hope not, because I'm casting it, and I'm saving my land. Right, Dress Down plays. Okay, put back one of the Plows and one of the Nulldrifters. Because if they show and tell now, I can put in Dress Down and plow whatever their monster is. That's huge. Do I want to shuffle this away, is the question. Yeah, I think the second Nulldrifter can take a walk, and I'm going to play Misty Rainforest. And here, if they cast Show and Tell, I'm just going to Dress Down and hope that their monster goes away. If they put in Omniscience, I'm probably cooked. Oh, they're just passing the turn. Fascinating. They were in the tank for a while and then passed. I'm going to shuffle away that extra mess that I don't need here. Grab a Tropical Island. Prismatic Ending. I mean, that's kind of funny that I could just hit their Lotus Petal. I think I'm going to cast Ponder off my Trop here. Another Ending and some more lands. I'll shuffle this. Well, I mean, this is probably not finding another target. And if I can take them off red and not worry about sneak attack, that's cool. Oh no. Well, JK, we're fucked. So dead. That does stop them from activating the sneak attack here, though I don't play enough colors to really punish. Okay. I can Dress Down in response to a sneak attack activation and hope they don't have a second red source right away. Okay, in response to this, Dress Down. They might still just try to hit me for 15 with an Emrakul. I have to Dress Down now in case it's Grizzlebrand. Because if they draw 7 or 14 cards, I'm definitely losing. Okay, they can decline here if they only have one monster. Yep, alright. Hard mode activated. Here I am wishing I had a single volcanic island in my deck that I could get with this Lorien. But I do not. I'll get another Tundra. Force of Will, right on time. I think this time I have to let the sneak attack resolve. I have to flush this monster out. I can't tread water like this forever. Just gotta hope it's Emrakul. Oh, shit, we're dead. Okay. I'm gonna plow in response. Like this one, the ETB damage is already done. Okay, here we go. There is no monster in this hand, or in this 10 cards we're looking at. Show and Tell, Flusterstorm. There's stuff going on over there. A lot of digging. They'll probably take like Brainstorm, Ponder, and a fetch land out of this pile. Unless they value the Force of Will and already have another monster lined up. Ponder, Brainstorm, Volk. Okay. There goes the Ponder. And this is that classic squeeze on Prismatic Ending, where 3 is the minimum number of colors I would play in a deck with Prismatic Ending, and 4 really makes it sing. Volcanic Island after a Ponder that did not shuffle. Alright, please be Emrakul. I still have to dance around this. Oh, wait. I don't even have a fucking... Alright, we're dead. I don't even have a plow anymore. I should have just Dressed Down. Alright. Well, this matchup's horrendous. Always has been. Always will be. Hydroblast, Containment Priest. This debate that's been going on for 15 years of are you supposed to bring in Surgical Extraction versus Sneak and Show? Because if you could get a Show and Tell or a Sneak Attack into the graveyard, removing them is good. If you could get at one of their monsters in the graveyard, removing them is good. But you have to survive to that moment where that happens. Consigned to Memory could stop Atraxa from triggering, and then it's much less of a worry. But Consigned to Memory doesn't do anything versus Emrakul or Grizzlebrand. They do sometimes bring in moon effects, but I'm already bringing in my Hydroblast. I do have basic lands that I didn't show them in game 1. That was partially calculated. Maybe I need Veil of Summer just to help in counter wars. I think I'm going to cut some consigns, some endings. Ending's good versus something like Defense Grid, where consign is really good against Defense Grid. All right, I'm going to shave a bunch of removal. My hope is that there's not ever a monster in play, but if there ever is, I still have some plows left. Okay, force, blue card, keep. It is the bare minimum, but it is here. I'm going to use Tropical Island to cast this Ponder, because if they Blood Moon me, if they prioritize having Blood Moon, then that's fine. Okay, Tamiyo, Dress Down. I like all these cards. Like, if they prioritize having a Blood Moon, and then I just play out a basic island from my hand, that's a bunch of resources they sunk into something that might not actually do anything. Misty Rainforest, pass from opponent. I'm going to play Flooded Strand and Tamiyo. This puts me out of Double Force, but I hope I don't need Double Force. I think it's more important to get the game moving forward, especially because my deck is constructed to be moving forward, not moving backward. Okay, they fetched a basic island. Ponder, alright. There's a Source of Plowshares on top of my deck that I don't plan on leaving there. Did not shuffle Ponder. I'm going to get Meticulous Archive. The selection here is worth more than what if they have Blood Moon. Nulldrifter. I don't really need another one of those, but that does flip Tamiyo. Alright, I will keep that. I'll put that on top. And I'm just going to attack first. Guarantee that clue. And then evoke Nulldrifter. This flips Tamiyo. It's really hard to counter these draw two. You need some weird anti-Eldrazi tech for that to be the thing. And then Nulldrifter goes away. Now they've seen Nulldrifter, they have to think about it a little bit if they're going to go for Show and Tell. But that did unlock Force Blue card for me. Show and Tell, counter it. Expect to fight here. They had 7 cards in their hand when they started this adventure. So this is going to be Pyroblast. I'm going to force Show and Tell again. And they've got a force. Alright. When the dust settles, I will put in Nulldrifter. And I guess we'll see what happens. It's probably not better than their creature. Embercool. Yeah. That one's pretty good. I don't play a Caracas. I would have to draw Dress Down into Swords to Plowshares. And that's none of the above. Tamiyo can buy Ponder. I do have 1 Teferi in my deck. Alright, I'm going to get this Ponder back. I'm going to try to find Teferi with the goods. Here goes everything. Surgical, LOL. I will shuffle this up, and it better be Teferi. It's Lorien Revealed. And just checking that I'm on no outs here. Annihilator 1 is not enough. They just sack one of their lands. I don't have enough mana anymore to find Dress Down and at least survive the Annihilator. Cool, dead. Alright, yeah, this matchup's just bad. Any control deck, even one that's leaning forward, maybe even worse for one that's leaning forward because you don't have the ability to turtle back. Sneak and Show has always been horrendous for honest, basic island, basic plains gamers. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2. I'm going to keep this hand. It is a blue or green source away from turn 3 Uro. And we will see how this game unfolds. Lionside Diamond. Maybe I'm supposed to consign that. Yeah, this is probably Dredge. Volcanic Island, Lionside Diamond. If this is Storm, I'd rather hold the consign. If it's Dredge, that's as good as that's ever going to get. Yikes. Okay. Well, they pass priority on the Faithless Looting. That's a start. It's definitely Dredge. I blew it. Okay. Uro's really good against Dredge, though. Do I want Meticulous Archive? I think I do. I mean, that gives up the green for Uro, but it gives me more looks at green for Uro, like that Tropical Island right there. I'll take that. And Prismatic Ending, this LED, is pretty fire, actually. They might just discard their hand in response, but they're not going to flashback Faithless Looting with that face-up option. Thassa's Oracle, Cephalid Coliseum. Didn't hit a new Dredger. If they break through, their deck's coming my way. Oh yeah, here we go. Narcomoebas, 3 of them. There's a Poxwalker in there. And then they discard their entire hand at the end of this, so there's going to be a lot to process very quickly here. 1 Cabal Therapy. 1... Counting Poxwalkers now. 2 Poxwalkers, that's bad. 2 Cabal therapies. Yeah, I'm basically cooked. If I were to get another turn, Uro would kill their stuff. Yeah, this game is over. Okay, countering the LED ended up not mattering. Actually, I got some extra value by not, but yeah, I wasn't ready for Dredge. Nobody ever is. Congrats to Mufoosh Van Gogh for recently making top 8 of the, or finals of the Showcase Challenge with Dredge. My graveyard stuff comes in. Veil of Summer helps versus Cabal Therapy. Wrath of the Skies could clean up a zombie horde. Nullrod turns off Lion's Eye Diamond, but that's it. I don't think that's very good. They are a deck based on a high number of triggered abilities, but I don't know if I can actually tread water through an effective Dredge start like that. Prismatic Ending's no good. Teferi's super slow and bad. Spell Pierce, Stifle, I think these are all fine. I do need to win the game somehow. Forces are all fine. Swords to Plowshares, you want some number of because you have to kill Poxwalker. I don't know if 4 is the number. Might be 3. Uro and Nulldrifter can both delete themselves for 3 mana, which clears Bridge from Below if I'm still playing the game by that point. Dress Down, pretty bad against them. Yeah, I think just like turning Dress Downs into Consigns is reasonable to do here. Deafening Silence might slow down some of what they do. Hydroblast could counter, specifically Ox of Agonis or Faithless Looting. There's a bunch of stuff that is fringe useful here, but I just want to focus on things that are definitely useful. Okay, another tough matchup. I'm going to mulligan this. It just doesn't do anything. This one's much better. I'm going to keep and I think put away the Swords to Plowshares. I just don't have white mana to use it, and if I do my job, they won't have a Poxwalker in play. I'm prepared to consign an LED this game. And one really important detail of both this round and last round is these are decks that are really good if people aren't ready for you. But I could have piled up Flusterstorms and stuff in my sideboard to fight the Sneak and Show player better. I could have way more graveyard hate than I do to challenge Dredge. A Narcomoeba, Poxwalker, Cabal Therapy. If I slice all the Cabal Therapies out of their deck, I could just consign this Narcomoeba. Yeah, there's no Dredgers here. Alright, yeah, I'm going to consign Narcomoeba. Just trying to collapse this engine wherever I can. Okay, so they're going to flashback Otherworldly Gaze, which will trigger Poxwalker. I think I exile the Poxwalkers in response to the Gaze. Okay, they're gazing. I'm extracting Poxwalkers. This Poxwalkers triggers off itself if you sack it to Cabal Therapy. Alright, so we got Therapy, 2 Breakthroughs, Narcomoeba. Grave Troll's in hand, but no good way to get rid of it right now, or at least no fast way to get rid of it. I guess with 3 mana, they could Breakthrough for 1 and keep a Breakthrough, then Breakthrough again. And this Otherworldly Gaze is currently on the stack. Okay, quickly running out of juice here, though. They found a Golgari Grave Troll, which means I am smoked. And this Uro in my hand, not super useful when there's no Bridge from Blows in the graveyard. Oh, here they can Dredge Grave Troll, which turns on Cephalid Coliseum. And they could just break through twice this turn, break through X equals 1, then break through X equals 0, throw their whole deck at me. Dressing down would buy a turn, because if their win con is giving the squad haste, oh wow. Oh, right, they're just breaking through first, and then they can Coliseum afterwards. Yeah, so Anger gives the squad haste. Thassa's Oracle is a way to win. They only hit 1 Narcomoeba off all that, but they have another round to go. And without the Poxwalkers, they may struggle to get 3 creatures into play to Dread Return and enough to Cabal Therapy. No, they have Bridge from Below. What am I even saying? But there were only 2, and they only milled 1. Unless they Blind Therapy Dress Down here. Therapy targeting me. I'm going to let this one resolve. See if they name Consign to Memory, Stifle, Surgical. I mean, I would have exiled the... Yeah, Prismatic Ending was the name. Interesting. So they could flashback this zombie. All right, I'm going to Dress Down now, because I don't want them to kill me this turn. This does give them all the information they need for next turn, and they'll probably name Wrath of the Skies on this one. Yep, that's gone. They're down to 2 Narcomoebas, no Poxwalkers. They could still Dread Return Thassa's Oracle if they get 3 creatures into play. But I can nuke their bridge right now with Uro. Okay? I mean, stuff's happening. I'm going to give myself a chance to ponder into Containment Priest before I do anything else. Consign? Okay. This actually kind of rules. Spell Pierce, Flooded Strand, Consign. Don't shuffle. Play Uro. Now I have Consign up and their bridge is gone. Gain 3 life, put in Flooded Strand. Clear the bridge. Now they have 1 bridge and 2 Narcomoebas to make this work with. There's a Therapy in the graveyard already. This is not something I can counter, and it wouldn't be useful if I did. Narcomoeba. Satoru the Infiltrator is there. Does countering this Narcomoeba do what I need it to? They hit another bridge. I think fighting this Narcomoeba is as good as anything. Wow, they just scooped. Yeah, they're just like, if you have anything here, I'm done. Or maybe they couldn't win the game anyway. Okay, picking apart the pressure points. Even though they flipped their deck, they couldn't win. That's a place to be with it. Consign to Memory, now a card I use 2 copies of, now on the radar for blind therapies. I got to think about that. It's interesting they named Prismatic Ending. Why would they care about that with that blind therapy? I guess they were worried about me killing their zombie token that turn. I don't know. Interesting. Suspicious, even. The Dress Down does function as like a whole ass time walk, if time walk matters. Like if they just put 22 power into play and then I take haste off of it and then go to my turn but can't deal with 22 power, it doesn't matter. But if I can pick them apart in the small part of the game, the Dress Down starts to matter a lot. Maybe Dress Down's better than Lorien Revealed. Okay, I'll just make that small adjustment. Okay, literally nothing here. I'm going to mulligan this. This is not a deck you could take chances against. Okay, this hand's really good. I'm going to keep this and bottom. It's either Tundra or Consign. I think it's Tundra. I guess it could have been Tundra or Brainstorm. But this gives me Force Blue card. And this is how you have to play against Dredge. You force literally anything you can on turn 1 because eventually their spells don't matter anymore. This build of Dredge is a little more spell forward than other builds in the past, but I still don't want Lion's Eye Diamond to resolve. Ox of Agonis and Stinkweed Imp in the bin. I think I just want to take the Stinkweed Imp right now. Though letting them dredge wasn't the problem last turn, or last game. This Ox will eventually be a problem. Yeah, I'm just going to try to play with my cards, and I'm not going to try to cut their dredge off. I'm going to try to beat the payoff cards as they show up. The Ox of Agonis, you could escape for 8 cards. I'm going to extract this Ox right now, actually. They could cast this here, and they really don't have much else going on. I guess I could have stifled the Enter trigger, but then that's something I could sack to Therapy and go again. Ashen Rider now in the deck, up to 3 Bridge from Below. And sideboarding with these graveyard decks like Oops All Spells and Dredge is so fascinating to me. 1 Putrid Imp in the list. They can cast an Narcomoeba here. Okay. I did what I needed to do that turn. If they Therapy me, I'll Veil of Summer, which is why this card's in the deck. I didn't even check if they actually have Underground Sea, but they probably do. If they have Satoru and all these black cards. Are they going to lead on Narcomoeba or lead on Cabal Therapy? Is now the follow-up question. All right, well, I boarded this in to cast it versus Cabal Therapy, so here we are. Drop, Veil, just checking that they weren't targeting themselves to name Stinkweed Imp, and they were not. Okay, no Dredger in the graveyard, no third land to keep things moving. I am going to ponder. If I find the land, we're in good shape. Cool. How would I like to stack this? I think it's land, Brainstorm, land. That hits the land drop if I need to consign this turn, and then Brainstorm is the better draw if I don't need to consign this turn. I'm not going to counter Narcomoeba. They're therapying me immediately. Consign is a reasonable blind name here. Daze, okay. When you play Cabal Therapy decks, and I'm not trying to be a dick to my opponent here, I'm just saying, if you're playing Cabal Therapy decks, it really matters how good you are at blind sniping. And so far, my opponent has named 2 cards that are not in my deck with their 2 blind therapies. One is in my deck, but I sideboarded it out, and the other is just not in my deck at all. Nulldrifter with the setup. This could start winning the game. I'm just going to hit my land drops, make sure I don't lose the game first, and then I can start trying to figure out how this Nulldrifter is going to come into play. I'll definitely stifle a fetch land here. 3 mana, their whole hand unlocks, and their graveyard. Okay, I will take one of these Nulldrifters now, and then I'll shuffle away the other one with Meticulous Archive and make decisions next turn. Hopefully I'll just find a land, put a creature into play. Shit. Raw dogged land number 3. No fetching required. And is forcing this worth it? I'm gonna Meticulous Archive first and see if I find Containment Priest and I can make informed decisions. Basic Island does put Nulldrifter into play next turn. I think I'm actually going to keep this here. I put that on top, and then I am going to force pitching Consign. And then I'll just develop Nulldrifter next turn and hope they have to spend a turn under Nulldrifter, and then I can start annihilating their lands. I also got to draw 2 here. Fetch for... I guess I want Savannah to round out the colors. Evoke Nulldrifter. Draw 2. You're in. Stifle. Okay, now I'm doing something. It might be too slow. The shields are down, but I am applying pressure at this point. The 4th land's pretty scary, because now if they Faithless Loot and just have a breakthrough, they're going to hurl their deck at me. We know this looting is good for a Stinkweed Imp. We don't know what the other 4 cards in hand are. We know these 2. Okay, Stinkweed Imp, Ashen Rider. Do you have the breakthrough to just make it all happen? Shit. Okay, Danger Zone. They did hit a 2nd Dredger and a 3rd Dredger. They did not find a 4th Dredger. No Narcomoebas. Their hand's in the graveyard now. That was honestly pretty bad. Okay, big turn. What's going on over there next turn? They just have blind dredges. They're just slow dredging. Oh, they have Faithless Looting. They can cast again. Okay. I will annihilate a land first. And now I have the hero problem of, do I brainstorm and try to hit something like Containment Priest? Oh, the Otherworldly Gaze is here too. That's really bad. All right, then I have to brainstorm. Like if they just cast Faithless Looting, it doesn't even have to resolve. Then Poxwalker's is back, then they could therapy me twice. I'm going to brainstorm. Force of Negation and Ponder. Okay, I'm going to put back Nulldrifter and Flooded Strand. Do I cast Ponder here? I could put back Nulldrifter and Force of Will, and then I get a shuffle and a fresh Ponder, and I can still cast Force of Negation. That sounds actually really good. Ponder, looking for Containment Priest. Did not find it. I will shuffle this. Shuffle for Basic Planes. Okay. Well, I'm going to Force of Negation the Faithless Looting. They dredged a bunch, a 2nd bridge. All right. Yeah, maybe that Wrath of the Skies I shuffled away would have actually been good. They cast Faithless Looting. They get a Poxwalker off it. That Poxwalker is good for 2 Cabal Therapies and 4 zombie tokens. And those zombie tokens have haste. I'm almost dead here. Or no, it's 2 zombie tokens. Or no, because you sacked the Poxwalker again. I was right the first time. Okay. I clearly don't have anything good. Yeah, that Wrath of the Skies would have actually been great. I might have blown it on that Ponder. I was swinging way too hard at Graveyard Hate when the plan would have actually worked. They named Days again. I mean, at this point, it's a good call because I would have surgicaled if I had it. And that is something that does something. Did they hit another therapy? Am I actually just dead? Oh, there's a 3rd therapy. 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. Yeah, okay. I'm actually just dead to the 3rd therapy, and the Wrath of the Skies didn't matter. So it was alternately, eventually right to shuffle that Ponder, even though it did take something coming off the mill to make that true. Yep. Another tough matchup if you're not ready for it. This one we at least made a really interesting game out of. GG's opponent, on to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3 versus Geodude Jared, who I have played against a lot and has frequently been on goblins. I don't know if that's still true, but my hand is good if goblins is what's happening. Oh god, City of Brass. No normal deck plays City of Brass. Is this another dredge deck? It's either dredge or some kind of weird reanimator deck. Or weird storm deck, maybe? Okay. Dredge twice in a row. I am now enraged. I've gone from great job with your showcase performance, Mafoosh Van Gogh, to thank you for ruining my format, Mafoosh Van Gogh. Narcomoeba trigger, they had a double Street Wraith situation. So they've seen 20 cards in their deck on turn 1 of the game. There are a bunch of Icarids in the graveyard. Do I think putting this Tamiyo down is good enough? I think it's going to have to be. I drew the Force now, which is like kind of awkward because their whole opening hand doesn't work if I force that careful study. And they have 3 Street Race in the graveyard, which are the perfect food for Tamiyo, so I'm just at 11 life here. That's going to have to be the case. Golgari Thug was the last dredger in the graveyard, and they've not found another one. If I could stop them refilling the graveyard here... they hit a bridge, though. Son of a biatch. Yeah, hitting bridge here means all these Icarids are now going to be zombies. And this Cabal Therapy is a really good one to name Swords to Plowshares. Named Brainstorm. Okay. Well, I have to force this on the way back through, because I can't have them stripping both my plows in this board state. Guess what card I drew this turn? I bet they know from the force, or from the way turn 1 went. Oh, no attacks. Oh, right, because if I block with Tamiyo, they'd lose their bridge. Good call. Smart opponent. All right. That could have been worse, I suppose. Uro, you don't know about this shit. If Tamiyo attacks, I end up taking 2 extra damage, but I get the clue. I am likely to use all my mana this turn anyway. I would love to ponder and guarantee this 3rd land for Uro. Ponder might cost me my blue card. They currently have no dredgers, and we know they've drawn per turn and off 2 Street Wraiths. The 3, I've lost track of exactly what they are, but 3 of the 5 cards in their hand are dredgers right now. But they know about Force of Will and Swords to Plowshares off this Cabal Therapy. What does all this mean for me? I think this means I'm going to plow Narcomoeba now, because that's the creature that triggers Bridge from Below. And I could fetch Savannah and plow an Icarid if it comes up. There's Street Wraith and then other Icarids, so if 2 Icarids come up, I'm actually going to set a stop in their draw step. Dredge is the one deck where that's really important to do. Okay, so we go to the draw step. Now I'm going to fetch Savannah and plow this Icarid. If you are going to Cabal Therapy me, it's going to cost you a more permanent resource here. A Cephalid Coliseum. No dredgers in the bin. This is a reset moment. It's a very powerful reset. This is a big moment to draw an untapped land off the top of my deck and just Uro my way through this Bridge from Below. They do still have a land drop this turn. They do have 5 cards in their hand. The zombies are free to attack. Block one of them. Is there a follow-up? Okay, deck. Untapped land. Big moment. Let's go. They fetch the tropical island, clear the bridges. And there's only 1 bridge, but clearing it matters. There's a Tamiyo. Their bridge is gone. I'm back to 17. I have something resembling a plan now. Their Icarids can work, but they have to eat other Icarids or dredgers to come in. Exiled, Stinkweed Imp, and Stinkweed Imp. Okay, they are not afraid of eating their dredgers. Narcomoeba double Cabal Therapy over there. No bridges, though. But if there's a spell, like a breakthrough or something, they can definitely clear it first. 2nd land. Interesting they did, or no, they played Cephalid Coliseum last turn. Never mind. I was about to say it's weird that they missed a land drop and suddenly had one after dredging, but that's not what happened. Black in the pool. Yeah, we're just casting a Thug. Deal. It's an easy one to sack to Cabal Therapy, but let's get rid of it. Now the Icarids can attack because they don't have a bridge anyway. So I'm going to take 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 this turn. Therapy. It's just going to resolve. Forcing it just cost me more cards in life. I name the Force. And now you sack the Thug, which puts Narcomoeba on top of the deck. That's what Thug does when it dies. That's just one of these fun little interactions. on the periphery of Dredge. Sometimes you get value resetting a Narcomoeba if you have a Thug in play. I don't think I'm supposed to force Thug there, but it is an interesting thing to talk about. Okay. Land for Uro, and is that good enough? Alright, well. I can flip Tamiyo this turn, and then probably die to Icarid. I'll get the clue. And then evoke Nulldrifter. Tamiyo flips. If they had any bridges, they'd be gone, but they don't. Plus this Tamiyo, Flooded Strand, get Tundra, play blocker mode Tamiyo, and they can only actually bring back one of these Icarids right now, and I can block that one. It has 2 power. I mean, I'm at 3 and pseudo stable. We'll see what they got here. They're going to Dredge, hit the Narcomoeba, Hogak Spooky, Cabal Therapy, and I have Plows in my graveyard and a Tamiyo in play. Yeah, they might have to go on like... Oh, but if they cast Hogak, they don't have enough creatures to attack the Tamiyo. This is getting interesting. Cephalid Coliseum might stop being interesting really quickly here, though. Faithless Looting on the flashback. Yeah, they have struggled to keep Dredgers in the graveyard for basically this entire game. Thug and Troll are back in the bin. That's my favorite rap group. Okay, Tamiyo's going to go to 2, block, and that means they can't cast Hogak this turn, but they have massive Dredge next turn. Plus Tamiyo. Cast Uro. This does not flip my other Tamiyo, not yet anyway. Spell Pierce, that card's almost good if I could cast it. And now we chill again. Weird game, I feel like I'm about to lose it, but we have made something happen here. We're going to get an upkeep Cephalid Coliseum in response to the Icarid trigger, so there should be plenty of black creatures to bring back here. Does this deck have a Dread Return? Does this deck have a Thassa's Oracle? What is the end game? Because that matters a lot when you're playing against Dredge. As we saw last game, my opponent's deck was built to flip their whole deck and win on the spot. If this is a more value-oriented Dredge list, we might at least like get a turn to try stuff. I don't know what that actually converts to in practical terms, but getting a turn to try stuff is pretty reasonable compared to being dead. Okay, 2 Icarids are in. Unfortunately, one of the cards they know in my hand is Nulldrifter, so if they just therapy me and pick one, and Nulldrifter also clears the bridge, so they're just going to get a free card here because I randomly have a second Nulldrifter in my hand. You hate to see it, but it's happening. Whether to spend energy on Tamiyo or not is interesting. They are down to 4 cards in their deck, which means they have to deal these last 9 damage before they run out of cards. It also means they can't Dredge anymore unless they somehow can win with exactly 0 cards in their deck. Yeah, 2 bridges, and they're going to name Nulldrifter. Super annoying that I just have a second one. And I don't have Spell Pierce mana up. Oh, they named Source of Plowshares. That's lucky. There is another therapy, though. Damn it. Yeah, that's therapy number 4. Yeah, because they're through basically their whole deck at this point. They're going to take Nulldrifter and then play Hogak and have an lethal army next turn. Here comes the Gak. They sacked Hogak to Cabal Therapy. Oh, they took Dress down. Okay. Do they have a Thassa's Oracle win? Are they not worried about Nulldrifter? Maybe they just don't need their bridges anymore after this next turn. That would check out, I guess. My sweepers are all in the sideboard. There's no Wrath of the Skies coming to save me here. Okay, these are all attacking Tamiyo. I'm just going to save the most amount of damage I can. They're going to get a zombie off this Icarid anyway. Interestingly, I will have double Tamiyo bubble going into this next turn. Because I could plus this Tamiyo. Then I have to attack. Yeah, these just have to attack. And then I play Nulldrifter. Okay. Attack. Gain 3 life. Trigger. Put the land in. Sucks I don't have a plow for this Hogak. Oh, they're chump blocking. Double chump blocking. That's even better. Okay. They're going to let me keep Uro. I can put all the damage on 1 Narcomoeba. Yeah, I'm actually going to do that. That way they only get 2 zombies instead of 4. And then Nulldrifter, which will flip Tamiyo. And then I get to plus again, so the whole zombie squad is Irrel. I think I want to brainstorm here before anything else happens. I guess the Tamiyo could flip. That's happening no matter what. I'd like the smaller one. And Brainstorm here. Keeping the Nulldrifter could be useful. Consign to memory, all right. Put back... Oh, wait. Do I need to clear these bridges, or am I over that? Can I do that next turn? Does that matter? It matters for Icarid, but if I have a 4/4 blocker and the ability to push damage back on them, that's interesting to me. Okay, I'm going to put back Nulldrifter and Uro. And they both die. Nulldrifter draws more cards. Uro gains life. That could matter here. Nulldrifter sees more cards. All right, I'm going to put back Nulldrifter and Uro. And then Nulldrifter resolves. I am going to zap to keep it. I think just creatures big enough to push damage back or tangle with Hogak are what I need to be doing right now. As their squad's going to get -2/-2. All the zombies don't matter. Hogak is a 6 power with trample. The Icarids are 1/1s. All right. Very exciting game. Very interesting game that I'm pretty sure I'm losing, but it is very interesting all the same. Maybe they'll misclick in Dredge 4. They did not misclick in Dredge 4. If Hogak and both Icarids attack Tamiyo, she does die, but so does Nulldrifter, and that clears the bridges. Does that matter? I'm clearing the bridges anyway. I could just keep my Nulldrifter, and this all ends up exactly the same. Okay, I think Nulldrifter and this all being the same, because Hogak has trample. It's the bottom word on this card. This card has 800 words on it, and the literally last one is trample. 3 cards left in their deck. Nulldrifter doesn't target. Clues don't target. And maximum zombies. Main deck sweeper would be sick here. Another Tamiyo. Okay. Well, this is not going to be enough. I am going to play Tamiyo, though. And I am going to evoke Nulldrifter before combat. This will clear the bridges. I'm not going to zap this one in. Dress down, force negation. A bunch of cards that don't help. Okay, Nulldrifter, nuke the bridges. Plus Tamiyo. And I attack with Uro, and they just block with a bunch of zombies. Leaving Uro back gains me 1 life. Attacking with Uro gains me 3 life. Blocking with Nulldrifter could save me 4 life. They'll probably just sack a land. So leaving Nulldrifter back. Alright, Uro's attacking. Ridiculous Archive, might as well put it in. Basic Island, not what I'm looking for. I hope they do block, honestly. Just anything that leaves play here is useful to me. And I'm going to ponder, even though I'm out of stuff to look for. None of these cards are helpful. Shuffle. Another Uro. Pretty sure I'm dead at this point. But what a game. 2 cards left in their deck. Yeah, they have 15 zombies. That's enough, even if none of the other creatures attack. That's so many Tamiyo triggers. It's very satisfying. It doesn't matter. Opponent is now attacking me, which is the correct thing to attack. And I'm dead. Okay. Sweet game. Wrath of the Skies, Kateba Priest. Weird that we're doing this again, but here we are. Surgicals, Veil, Consign, Dress Down, Lorien Revealed. Prismatic Ending's a little better against this build, I think, but Plow is the one that's actually good. Teferi, and 1 more cut. I think I went to 3 Plow last round, if I'm remembering correctly. I could cut Basic Island, because they're not going to attack my mana. But cutting Island and Lorien Revealed's a little risky. Playing a deck like this with 19 lands is, like, on the border of insanity. And getting to that 3 mana in time to evoke one of my evokers is important. Right, maybe I don't go full hog on Consign to Memory. I'll cut one of those. Let's go. Alright, I'm keeping. Containment Priest is excellent. I need Consign to Memory to get me a turn where they don't therapy me twice. I'm going to play the Windswept Heath just in case I get the opportunity to get Meticulous Archive here and don't have to cast Consign. City of Brass. I could save them a damage. I could consign their trigger. Faithless Looting resolves, regrettably. 2 Imps in the graveyard. And no follow-up shenanigans. Let's go. Get Meticulous Archive. Misty Rainforest, don't need you. Now I feel silly for not cutting 2 lands from my deck. I am going to wait on the Containment Priest. We didn't see any counter spells in their deck. If they have a removal spell that came in out of the sideboard, I can wait for them to trigger a Narcomoeba before I have to do anything here. Cephalid Coliseum, and they have exactly Threshold. We're just casting Thugs. You got it. Is this going to Cabal Therapy right away? Targeting is not optional, so they do have to put one of these, put Troll on top of your deck. Okay. I'm going to cast Containment Priest now, just in case they have the read, the blind, sick read. They had a Street Wraith, which missed. They're trying to sneak an Archamoeba in under this Priest. Oh, that was cool. They dredged the Grave Troll that Thug was targeting. So I could have let the Thug trigger resolve and then played Priest, which is slightly better for exactly that moment. Interesting. All right, good to know. Now what do you name with Therapy? Force of Will. If I had that, I would have countered Faithless Looting, but I have drawn a card since then. Yuck. All right. Well, there's no bridges in the graveyard. Consign to Memory does matter a lot here. I'm going to attack. They can dredge Thug, cast Thug, and then use the Cabal Therapy in their graveyard. They didn't dredge. They're taking draws now, which means that they are in trouble to Containment Priest. Cycling Wraith. If they find red to cast Ox of Agonis, the consign is there to just make it a big creature. All right, Thug's back. Annoying. It's not, or is it back? Yeah, that is the same one. No, that one's in the graveyard still. This is a different one. All right, they have decided that it's time to therapy me, targeting Street Wraith with their Thug. Yeah, there's no response here. They can take the consign if they want to be on an Ox of Agonis player, and they can take the Nulldrifter if they want to take the pressure off. They took consign. All right. So I guess I will be Nulldrifting this turn, basically no matter what. Brainstorm. Oh, well, that makes things a little more interesting. I'll cast that card. Multiple Uros. Got to get rid of a bunch of shitty lands from my hand. Fetch. Tundra. Uro. Trigger. Wow, I get to keep my Uro. Busted. Tundra. Stifle. And I think that's worth it to try to put the screws to them. They didn't come up with a red source last turn, and they're drawing Street Wraith this turn. If they cast Ox of Agonis, the Containment Priest is still a problem for anything that might fall out of the Ox. The idea of zombies falling out of a Devilish Ox just really does it for me. Okay, Containment Priest coast to coast on that one. Hydroblast hits Ox and Faithless Looting, but now I'm on the draw where that matters even less. I think I'm just going the same deck. Right back in, all the same tools. Maybe I should actually cut Basic Island and get Lorien Revealed back in. It's too late now, but I think that's probably better. If I'm willing to cut one of my air quotes mana sources, I think Basic Island's a better cut than Lorien. So this could have been done better. First time having a force effect in my hand for their turn 1 setup. I will keep. Opponent also kept 7. LED. I'm actually going to let that resolve, even though it is frequently a mistake to do that. Okay. Tamiyo. No follow-up is crazy. I just had this read where the LED is not the important card. The Breakthrough or the Faithless Looting is. And if they discard their whole hand to LED, flashback looting at counter looting, then they still have their hand in their graveyard. Oh, they could just activate stuff like Coliseum right now? That's gross. All right, I should have countered the LED. You can see me losing my mind in real time here, having to play 6 games in a row against Dredge. This isn't all in line, but it is very powerful. They're going to dredge at least 10 here. Okay, at least 15 here. Dredge, dredge, dredge. No Narcomoebas. No follow-up mana source, obviously. There's one Icarid. One Bridge from Below. One Cabal Therapy. Okay, I mean, can I draw Containment Priest right now? That would be nice. Tamiyo. Second Tamiyo. Well, that actually does matter, because Legend Rule does kill things. Okay. I'm going to play Savannah and another Tamiyo. I'll keep the untapped one that kills your Bridge from Below, and I'm going to set a stop in the draw step, because I could plow the Icarid if it comes back. And from here, they are just slow dredging, which is something I can beat with careful play and if my deck cooperates. Icarid is in play. We're going to let them dredge before I Swords to Plowshares, just so I know what's going on. There are 2 Narcomoebas that were hit. No additional bridges. I am going to plow the Icarid. That one deals real damage over time. And I could completely blank the Narcomoebas with Tamio's ability. They did find another Icarid, though. Okay, I think it's time to Brainstorm. I'm going to get my clue value first. Brainstorm. Uro real good in the future. Put back Plains and Misty, plus Tamio, and pass. Okay, Icarid can put Tamio down to 2. Uro will be in its way soon. Oh, they didn't go for the Icarid. Cool. Just slow dredging, found a second Icarid, still no bridge from below. And now I have a draw engine online. All right, therapying me, go for it. Named Swords to Plowshares. That's in my graveyard. I'll have it next turn. And I'm going to draw a card off a clue. B-Storm. Dress Down. Okay. Maybe I'll hold off on the plow, actually. Because Dress Down knocking haste off Icarid is pretty effective as well. Okay, I'm going to pass. How many Icarids are coming in? 1, 2. Let's see the dredge. Hogak. That one's actually spooky. We've got 1 bridge from below, 2 Cabal Therapy, and a Hogak. This could start getting dicey. I'm going to Brainstorm before anything else happens. Yuck, just the worst. Okay. Fetch. I'm going to get a Tropical Island. And I guess I want to Dress Down here. Do I leave up green-black? Or green-white or blue-white? I think I leave up green-white because Plow and Veil of Summer are both hits here. Okay, I couldn't cast Ponder anyway. There's no attacks. They've seen my hand, so they know about the 2 forces if they're going to start therapying me. If they take Force of Will, that lets Hogak resolve. But they can resolve Hogak anyway. Okay, the Uro will clear the bridge unless they kill Uro. Or if they make me discard Uro, then that doesn't clear the bridge. Okay, they're not casting Hogak. Dress Down goes away. Their Icarids didn't die. Wow, that's fascinating. I didn't think about that. Holy smokes. That actually changes everything. Okay, Uro, get in there. The Dress Down making the Icarids not die is sick. Because now they don't get bridges off that. I mean, they're still in play next turn, which is not great. If I minus Tamio, it dies to the other Icarid, but I could plow 1 forever. Or no, it dies at the end of this end step. Wow. Holy smokes. All right, I'm having fun now. There are 1, 2, 3 black creatures in the graveyard, and they're Putrid Imp, which is garbage, and then Golgari Thug is their only dredger, and then Hogak is actually a real creature. I think I'm going to Ponder before I decide what I'm doing with Tamio. Oh my god. All right. Surgical Extraction in my hand. Buy back. Do I buy back anything here? Okay, yeah. I'll buy back Swords to Plowshares. And then I'll pass the turn. What a delight. How much fun we're having. But they have to bring back both Icarids to kill Tamio, and that would cost them either Hogak or their Dredger. They brought back the 1. I'm letting them walk into this. Okay. They did exile the Thug, which means they just have to draw cards now. Cool. So Tamio's going to die here, but I mostly don't care. She's done a lot. They're attacking me with the zombie and Tamio with the 2 Icarids. And then the Icarids die in the end step. I'm going to fetch my Meticulous Archive. I don't need this basic island. Okay, now I have Uro in front of their 2/2 zombie. There's no dredgers, no bridge. Uro's in. Put in this land. And I'm 1 mana away from the fabled legendary just cast Nulldrifter because I have 7 mana play. We got the GGs. Okay. And it, as much as I am not excited that I played against Dredge 2 rounds in a row, they were totally different builds of Dredge, and we saw how the combo build, where if my shields come down for a second, I lose, versus this one, which is the value Dredge, where I'm also a value deck. And if I can collapse the kind of unfair parts, like nuking their bridges before they get out of line, or even something as simple as Tamio saving a bunch of life and keeping their creatures at bay while I figure it out, we could grind through this. That was a fun showcase of this deck versus 2 different builds of Dredge. BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round number 4. Is this Island Ponder Keep? It's a little risky. I'm in though. It's not the basic island, which would make this easy. Lead on the Ponder. I'd love to just see 3 lands here. Or 0 lands. I will shuffle this. And found a Dress Down. If they waste me right now, it's a bummer. If we fade the Wasteland, oh no. Well, let's see if we can recover from this quickly. Fetch land off the top. Uh-oh. Opponent mulled to 6, and they are going to get massive value off of that Wasteland. I don't think hands like this are ever a mistake. Sometimes they don't work out, but with 20 lands in the deck, 19 of the 52 cards in my deck, or 53 cards in the deck, when I cast Ponder, were lands, and Ponder sees 4 cards, and slightly better than 1 out of 3 cards in my deck is a land right now. So by the reasonable distribution of numbers, you do find lands there every time. Obviously not every time, that's not how you say that, but you find lands there most of the time, and it just didn't work out this time. I'm going to discard Uro, because that is kind of cheating. We're against Crashing Footfalls, so at least I know what I have to do here. This is a match that Consign and Stifle are very good in, because you can stifle Cascade triggers and suspend triggers. They kept their card. All right, we're back. We're back. We're so back. Basic Island Ponder. Right back to work here. And there is another land. I will just bank that land now. I don't think they could shuffle or mill me in any serious way, but just in case, I will take the card that I know I want right now. Cycling Lorien. This will probably find a volcanic island. Oh, basic island. All right. They're playing on basics. They might have a spirit guide to get the red. Or spirit guide. Multiple spirit guides. Okay. Shardless Agent will cascade. It's Crashing Footballs. They could have tapped this island and didn't, which makes me think maybe they have main deck Mystical Dispute. But I'm still going to fight where I can fight. Look at that. I'm going to force pitching force the Mystical Dispute so the Crashing Footfalls ends up in exile, just in case that matters. And there's a land on top of my deck. I have to decide if I want to try to roll the dice here. Like, I could fetch... No, fetching Mystical Archive doesn't work. This is a little risky, but Dress Down is really bad in the matchup. So I am going to take a bit of a swing here. Do I want the basic Forest? I really don't. I don't want to get Wastelanded either. Okay, I'll take basic Forest. That just moves me towards this Uro in my graveyard. And I get 2 looks at an untapped land here to really start doing it. Okay, looks like Force of Negation. Yep, okay. 1 look at a land. Had it, always had it. Their 1 card in hand would have to be Wasteland to punish me here. I think I want to get Savannah. That gets me the 2nd green pip for Uro. And turns on white. Really sad that I didn't have the consign right now, because this trigger right here, there's the trigger that ticks down, then there's the trigger that casts the suspended card once it's out of time counters, and you can stifle that. Okay, if they have Wasteland or a 2nd Can of Rhinos here, those are both really effective, but if I just get to put Uro into play, I'm feeling good. Fetch. Tundra, I think, is the one. Green, blue, yeah. Can't force negation this. You can Mystical Dispute it. You can bounce it with Brazen Borrower once it resolves. Okay. Or it could just come into play. It looks like they have a bounce spell. based on this timing. Yep, Brazen Borrower, there it is. I do gain 3 life, get a land drop, and I will pass. I'm in some dire straits here. I go to 4. I probably have to fetch Mystical Archive here, just for the most looks at relevant cards. Oh goodness. Well, never mind, I'm getting a Tundra, and I'm consigning the trigger to memory. Still in a lot of trouble. Okay, Brainstorm first. I did find a consign. That's not bad. Is it enough? I don't think so. I go to 6. I have the 6/6 blocker. Yeah, I'm still dying here. Is there a route into a Swords to Plowshares as well? I don't think so. Teferi can bounce one of these things. Teferi is just one of the best cards against their deck, full stop. Nulldrifter sees more action, but that doesn't help. Not enough. Yeah, I'm just a little short here in every direction. Okay. Tight game. Wrath of the Sky is definitely coming in. Consign to Memories come in. These decks do tend to play Blood Moon, and sometimes they have some crazy stuff like Minskin Boo. I am interested in Hydroblast. I don't think I want Surgical Extraction, even though countering and then removing their Rhino spell is pretty effective, but I'm trying to stifle a bunch of triggers, where if I stifle a Cascade trigger, the Rhino spell never goes on the stack, and if I stifle a Suspend trigger, the Rhino spell never goes on the stack. Dress Down pretty worthless here as a Magic card. I am probably going to cut Mentor here. I don't think that's how I'm going to win these games. Spell Pierce I like. I'm bringing in more Stifles, obviously leaving those. Swords of Plowshares is not very good. Neither is Prismatic Ending, but you might need some amount of that. Okay. Carpet of Flowers has arguments, especially if they're going to try to moon me. Veil of Summer could also have arguments. Veil's probably good enough. I'm going to get away from Prismatic Ending a little more. Okay. This is the new plan. Oh, okay. I will keep this. There's a lot of Nulldrifters, but I can fend off the first can of Rhinos. And if I don't do that, then I can have a Nulldrifter. And I'm blessed with 2 lands this game. Remember last game came down to 1 turn's worth of interaction after my Ponder missed, and I missed my land drop for 2 turns? Sometimes it is that simple. Meticulous Archive. If they Violent Outburst off 2 Spirit Guides right now, they got me. Looks like that might actually happen. Okay, no, they're just playing around Stifle. I like that. Force of Negation. I don't actually want this card. I want lands. And because Consign is my only blue card and it interacts with what I would want to force anyway, then there's no reason to hold on to that card. Okay, starting to get dicey. I can fend off a can of Rhinos, though. I'm ready. Fuck. Well, here's this card. I'm gonna float a white. Alright, deck. Just lands now. Easy, easy, easy. Always had it. Ah! Oh, no. Okay. I'll float white again. I'll stick to the story. Brainstorm. Okay. There's some juice here. I think I gotta go for it. Basic Island. Brainstorm. If they Mystical Dispute this, then turn around and make a can of Rhinos, I'm in trouble. Found the land. I don't need this many Drifters or this many Plows. I will put those back. We got their team. Okay. Fetching their second land now. Second mana land. And Suspended of Footfalls. I like that. Do I want to play around Blood Moon and how much? I do have 2 islands in the deck. I can get Forest here. Forest sucks kind of bad, though. I'm going to get an island. Hydroblast, Brainstorm. Keep them coming, deck. Okay, we did keep them coming. Put back 2 Nulldrifters. And now I have Stifle. Oh, I should have put back a Plow. I could still cast Ponder here. Alright. I can Stifle a Wasteland. A 3 mana. This is where the fireworks happen. Draw for turn, Ponder. Basic Forest. Okay. And there's a Tameo under there. I will pass, and I can develop a Nulldrifter next turn, or I could Tameo plus evoke Nulldrifter, flip Tameo. Looks like they're going for some action in the end step. I'm going to consign with Replicate. This beats Force of Will now. Still 2 turns away from this one. I could Hydroblast a Blood Moon. I could stifle another Cascade. If all that happens, I can work my way through the Nulldrifters, or with the Rhinos. Stifle this. Did you have a force? No. All right. Now I think I just play and flip Tamiyo. Play Tamiyo. Evoke Nulldrifter. I'm out of juice for enabling these. Plus Tamiyo, pass. I do feel like I'm falling behind. They didn't play a land last turn, which means there's at least 5 spells in their hand. Okay, Tamiyo's going to go to 3. They could Violent Outburst right now to put an extra damage on Tamiyo and get the Rhinos in. They didn't do that. A Murktide Regent pivot. Terrifying, but I'm so ready for that. Okay, I can plow Murktide and then try to fight over the Footfalls. Well, I'm going to start by plowing Murktide. We're definitely at least doing that. Spell Pierce is insane here. I hope they do Force, actually. Bummer. I can delete my Tamiyo forever to get Consigned to Memory back in my hand. I could plus Tamiyo and try to make a fight over these Footfalls. I don't want to do that. I'm going to buy back Consign. If they pitch cast Endurance here, then that's good value, but it's still a 2-for-1 for me. Oh, Spirit Guide. Are they hard casting Endurance? Or are they going over the top with a Violent Outburst? This lets me Spell Pierce their ass. I love this. Okay, this resolves. Or this trigger resolves. 18 cards revealed, including Blood Moon, Endurance confirmed, Spell Pierce, this shit. 2 cards left in the hand. That 5-card hand got quickly less scary when they pitched 2 Spirit Guides to do stuff. Now I have to make sure I time this correctly on Magic Online. Okay, so there is the remove a counter. We let that trigger resolve. Now there's the cast the spell. We fight over this. Cast with Replicate. And I could still force a Minskin Boo or something terrifying if it happens here. And although I fended off 4 or 5 cans of Rhinos this game, there's still only 2 accounted for, because most of them just didn't happen yet. I'm going to evoke one of these Nulldrifters. Hope to spike a counter to keep it. No such luck. But we are just drawing cards here, which is part of the plan. Uro is in my deck somewhere, along with green mana to cast it. At some point, I'll plow this Shardless Agent. I don't think I'm there yet. Okay, there's a Trop. I am going to play that out, get my colors rounded out. Another Nully. Keep my hand at 7 cards. That's gone. Okay, lots of answers in my hand. I need some questions, though. 3 of my 4 Nulldrifters are used already. I'll probably plow this in the end step if they don't make another creature before then. Plow this. They might hardcast a Force or a Mystical Dispute on this, but that taps them out going into my turn, which I'm okay with. Okay, it just worked. That's even better. Brainstorm. Fix my hand. There's Uro and the last Nulldrifter. I like all those things. Put back Savannah and Misty Rainforest. Flooded Strand. Uro. I am going to draw the Misty here. I can fetch basic planes off of this, and this makes 7 mana to cast Nulldrifter in the future. Misty Rainforest is in, Uro dies. I think I do have to Force of Will in Endurance on this board. Or maybe not. Or they would need a Spirit Guide to even cast that. And then I can Prismatic End it. Brazen Borrower, just shoving one of these in to apply pressure. That's fine. Nulldrifter is bigger than this thing. They're in for 3. I'm going to fetch Meticulous Archive in the end step. Or no, that was Wastelanded 100 years ago. I'm going to fetch some other card. Savannah sounds good. Okay, draw for turn. Ponder. I could go for Uro here. And I can pay for a Mystical Dispute. That sounds good. And I'm going to exile cards I don't want to redraw if they Endurance me. I don't have Loam. I don't have Mystic Sanctuary. I do have Tamiyo in terms of using my graveyard. Force Negation doesn't work. Mystical Dispute doesn't work. All right, we're in. That's the best outcome. I will drop this Tundra in. I have lots of routes to wanting more mana in this situation. Might as well cast a Ponder. We're here. Tamiyo. Okay. I will take this Tamiyo and I will play it. Okay, I'm currently ahead on all resources. And even something like bouncing Uro with a Brazen Borrower doesn't matter that much. Yeah, this is just something I can redeploy. starting next turn. Or I could just resolve this Nulldrifter at some point. Brazen Borrower's in. Not tangling with that. My top card is Ponder. Blood Moon. How worried about this am I? I think literally 0. I'm just going to fetch my basic planes. I have 2 Hydroblasts in my hand. Yeah, I'll just get planes and let this resolve. I could have gotten Trop and countered it, but I think this ends up being mostly the same. And Nulldrifter doesn't give a shit. Okay, attack with Tamiyo, and then I'm just going to hardcast Nulldrifter. I'm going to leave up the 2 blue. Nully the hard way. They would have to have Force of Will to fight this, and I still draw 2 cards and flip Tamiyo, even if they do. Force pitching the Mystical Dispute we called out a moment ago. Okay, I can force pitching Uro, or I could force pitching Hydroblast. I think I do want to force this. I'll lose one of the Hydroblasts. I don't think I'm worried about Blood Moon here. And I have a whole extra one. Bang. The Eldrazi that doesn't take colorless mana. We love it. Eldrazi are cool when they're on my team. They suck anywhere else. And my opponent turned off all their own blue mana with their Blood Moon. And I'll just eat this clue in the end step. Not worried about much here. Worried about decking myself, I guess, is the closest thing to a concern that I have. I'm going to attack with Nulldrifter. I suspect they will annihilate their Blood Moon. Okay, they do value the Blood Moon. That's interesting. And exciting. Okay, Uro, you're back. Found another land. Do I want this land? At some point, I should stop playing them. Alright, I'm not going to play out another mountain here. Tamiyo can get Swords to Plowshares out of my graveyard. And then that has this Brazen Borrower covered. Just going to hit it in the upkeep where Force of Negation doesn't work. And they're going to be out of permanence pretty soon. Just have to make sure I don't deck myself. Like, I won't be casting this Lorien Revealed, is what I mean by that. Attack with the Drifter. They did annihilate the moon. Finally. Get to keep my Hydroblast, and I can play Uro now. Green, blue, blue, green. Uro. 15 cards is plenty still in my deck. I'm going to have to discard one of these anyway, so I will actually play a land this turn. But Uro is Reverse Annihilator. The thought just occurred to me. That's why I like Uro so much. It's literally the opposite of an Eldrazi. Well, Teferi's pretty busted against their whole strat. I'm going to attack and get my Annihilator in. They have to respond with this Brazen Borrower or with a Cascade or whatever. Okay, cool. Just done. That was satisfying magic. Murktide Regent, seen. I have all my plows plus Teferi that can deal with that thing. Blood Moon confirmed. I didn't look that closely at their Cascade to see a Minsc and Boo or not. I should have been paying more attention to that. Oopsies. The Consigns and Stifles were dope. I didn't see a reason to bring in more Prismatic Endings. Carpet of Flowers remains reasonable to bring in, I think. It does get swept up in Wrath for 1, but Wrath for 0 is good enough against their deck that my Carpet's not even necessarily in danger. It's just what would I cut for it? Like, I could cut Tundra, I guess, and turn it into this, air quotes, mana dork of Carpet of Flowers. That's an interesting proposition. Wasteland has gotten me a few times, so cutting out a land might be a mistake. Maybe I just don't need any copies of Prismatic Ending. Then I get to keep all my lands, and I go plus Blood Moon and Wasteland Proof mana source. Okay, I'll do that. No more Prismatic Endings. Okay. This hand is not very good against Rhinos. It is very good against Wasteland. It's very good against Blood Moon as well. I'll keep. If they have the turn 1 Rhino Slam, that will be concerning to me. Okay, that didn't happen. I don't think I'm going to turn 1 Tamiyo here. I think I'm going to play Misty Rainforest and pass. That way, if they turbo out a Blood Moon, I can fetch Forest in response and ignore it for a while. Okay, Wasteland. I've played around that. Uh-oh, they're going for it. Shardless Agent is happening. I can Brainstorm now. Yeah. Good job, opponent. Just taking your swing here is the right thing to do. Okay. I think I'm going to let the Cascade happen. 35 cards revealed, wow. I mean, that's mostly random, but it is just a large number of things revealed. I get to see a lot of their deck. Blood Moon, Brazen Borrower, Mystical Dispute. I'm going to get basic Forest and cast Veil of Summer here. This cantrips, and if I draw Force... Alright, didn't work. But that does play around the most things. But this basic Force is going to be pretty bad for me moving forward. but my opponent has fucking Wasteland in play. What do you want me to do? Tameo, try to do something. I think I'm just going to die here. Without white, and with the Wasteland keeping me off fetching white, there's no reasonable route to Wrath of the Skies before I lose. Wow. All right. I think they're right to be aggressive. I clearly don't have a counterspell in hand, and if they could get it done in 2 turns, that's pretty good. What just happened? Okay, they pitched Spirit Guide to suspend another Crashing Footfalls. Okay, they're down to 2 cards in hand, but if it's Force Blue card, they win, and even if it's not, they probably win anyway. I have to brainstorm into white and Plow here. Carpet's not it. I guess I could Chump Block. If I put back Consign and Nulldrifter, I can play Carpet, which can play Tameo. 4, 5, 6, 7. Go to 2 on this current sequence. Tameo get in. Carpet could, like, if they play an island into this board, which I think would be a mistake if they did, but if hypothetically that were to happen, I could Wrath them. I think Tameo has to just absorb as much damage as possible. Leave me at 2 instead of at 1. Okay. I will respond to my Carpet with Brainstorm. If this hits White Source Wrath, we can actually still lose to Shardless Agent, and it doesn't matter. Disputing that. Okay. I'm smoked. Okay, Force, pitching, Hydroblast, and dead. Okay. Perhaps in a matchup where I have 5 1-mana answers and 5 0-mana answers to a can of Rhinos, I should have mulliganed to 1. But the last couple games, my opponent didn't send it like this, and that could just be the texture of their hand, or it could be a read that that's not how they play the deck, or whatever. But yeah, this hand definitely wanted 1 or 2 more turns before it had to fend off Rhinos. And Wasteland cut me off a lot of outs. Tough beats, but another good match where we just narrowly lost. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'm going to keep my hand. A little bit of Disruption and some Urros. Windswept Teeth. And Lotus Petal. What deck has both of these cards in it? Is this like Cephalid Breakfast? Swords of Plowshare is a great find if I think this is a Nadu or Breakfast kind of deck. Could also be like Turbo Depths, I guess. Or Green-White Depths wouldn't play Lotus Petal. I don't know. Caracas. Devoted Druid, fun. Okay, well, that resolves. So they could Swift reconfigure it. I'm going to go to my turn. Oh, I drew the Plains. I'm going to plow this right now while I can use Spell Pierce to protect any counterplay. There we go. This is why I waited. Basic Island. I already have one of those. I guess I'll get Trop here. Spell Pierce that. This is a combo that makes infinite green mana at instant speed, and I would prefer it didn't occur. They can untap this twice to put it in the graveyard instead of in exile, if that's something they care about. They are doing the trick. They don't get any mana here, but if they have like Finale of Devastation or Eternal Witness, I don't know. Even Endurance targeting yourself is a reason to do that. Or if you think I have Endurance and it might target you. This Caracas is going to be good against my double Uro hand, but at least double Uro generates a lot of value while it's farting around. That dress down got a lot worse because of Caracas. Uro hit a land drop. And I'm pretty close to casting Lorien Revealed. We have to imagine that they have a instant speed payoff for infinite green mana in their hand. Or no, this turns it into not a creature. So this would just counter the Swords of Plowshares even if they weren't ready to pay off. Dumped Walking Ballista. That's a good sign. That means they're not ready to go off. Also, Dress Down just beats Walking Ballista at literally any point. X equals 1000 comes into play as a 0/0. It doesn't remove counters if it resolves now. Like if they just played a Ballista for 2 right now, that is actually an object I'd have to respect for a little while. The third Dress Down I don't want. Prismatic Ending I like. Uro, please find me a land. I'm saving this Lorien Revealed. I'm going to reveal Lorien this game. Okay, now I have something to do with these Dress Downs other than counterplay my opponent. They're playing Drago over there. I'm playing Drago as well. I refuse to cycle Lorien Revealed when I'm at 4 mana. It's stress downtime. They could have something like Beseiju, but I still draw 2 cards and get the land that I want. Draw 3 cards, because Dress Down's also a cantrip. Like, Beseiju doesn't actually mess me up here. Not too badly. And step Dress Down. Swords of Plowshares, always happy to have that versus a creature combo deck. And basic island Nulldrifter. It's time to annihilate. Pass the turn. Now they're under real pressure, which is the point of the deck, to put opponents under pressure. A Dress Down doesn't actually stop a Devoted Druid combo because it's not a creature once they swiftly reconfigure it. Oh yeah. This is the phase of the game we're in. That's fine. I am not going to interact with that card at all. I'll just let them annihilate it. Yeah, that's annihilated. They go to 14. Tamiyo's a great find. This gives me just something else to do. B-Storm, flip it immediately. Found a land, consigned to memory. I'm not sure if I care about that. I'm going to put back these 2 prismatic endings because they're sorceries. And my opponent is currently starting their turn with no cards in play. Okay, fetch. Whatever they're going for it. I hope this is just Ballista for 2, something I can just mop with a Dress Down. Okay, I don't like Teferi. Not a card I want to play against. I will force that, pitching Dress Down. And I am going to fetch away my prismatic endings, I think. They just don't seem that useful here. I'll get another Trop. I'll give them the opportunity to annihilate the wrong land. But they see the Uros in my graveyard. I don't think they're going to fall for this. Nope. Tundra's gone. I'm just going to cast Lorien Revealed. And then I'll make decisions with Tamiyo. Savannah, Tamiyo, get back Swords to Plowshares. Cool. I love annihilating my opponents. Nice. Okay, the sequencing saved me. Like, I could have just end-step plowed their turn 2 Druid that game, and they would have reconfigured it, and then I would have had trouble dealing with that permanent. But instead, that didn't happen. I played around it. The Dress Down has some utility here. It can at least clip a big payoff Ballista at the end of a chain. I'm going to play Containment Priest because I suspect that Finale of Devastation and Court of Calling and Green Sun Zenith are probably parts of this deck somewhere. Consigned to Memory does not seem very good, though it does also counter Walking Ballista. Maybe it's actually really good. Stifle seems like the worst one here. Teferi is always good. Like, it's hard to say Teferi is bad. That's just not true, ever. But it is not what this game's about, I don't think. Prismatic Ending can kill a Druid that's already a vehicle. I like that. And if they have any sort of creature juke, that's something I want to be on top of. Like, if they just play Knight of the Reliquary, I don't want to be caught shields down to that. I could shave an Uro. We've seen that they have Karakas in their deck, and I have no way to remove a Karakas other than annihilating it after I've annihilated all their other lands. Okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to read Swift Reconfiguration real quick one more time before I stop sideboarding, because if Swift Reconfiguration turns it into an artifact, then Null Rod is actually really good against their deck. Yes, Enchanted Permanent is a vehicle artifact. Okay, Null Rod actually is sick. Null Rod's coming in, and could just cut the other Uro, be blue-white control versus them. Yeah, I think that's fine. Swords to Plowshares, good. Prismatic Ending, good. I think this hand is solid. Tundra. Ooh, okay. I am gonna cast Tamiyo and hope I don't die. Tundra, Tamiyo. Because if they go land, pedal, Druid, Swift Reconfiguration, infinite mana, I could lose here. But if they have the nut draw, I guess they got me. Enlightened Tutor in this deck. Oh yeah, if they're just going onto a Sylvan Library plan, this is perfect. I have the ending for that. But 3 mana is where this starts to fall apart for me. Orm's Chant. Okay. Do they just really want to resolve Sylvan Library, or do they have Pedal combo? Oh my goodness. That went about as good as it could ever go for me. They are playing to the situation that they have in front of them, which as far as they know is that Sylvan Library is really good, but I basically just flushed 2 extra cards out of their hand, the Chant and the Petal, by doing nothing, just existing. Okay, down to 2 cards in hand. I have the Force Negation that can counter Swift Reconfiguration, and I've successfully untapped. Untapping's broken. Attack with Tameo. I'm not going to eat a clue in my main phase. I have Plow plus Pierce to fight over stuff, and I can eat a clue in the end step if the shields look down. Mana number 4. I'm sure they rarely want that. To a Ponder. Hey, deck, are there any lands in you? I'm just wondering. Still no lands. It's impossible. I'll attack with Tameo, and I'm going to cast Ponder. Off of Tropical Island. Ponder. Okay. That Null Rod someday might be good. I'll take this land, and I'm just going to fetch Savannah and eat a clue. Oh, I misclicked and got Basic Plains. I didn't mean to do that, but it works the same. Tameo is in active mode. I'm going to clean up one of these dress downs, I think. Another Portico. If their hand is Orum's Chant, Druid, Swift Reconfiguration, then they don't have anything to spend their mana on, so that's fine. Oh, Summoner's Pact. Opponent's doing the damn thing. Okay. I think I'm going to let this resolve. They got Druid. Druid resolved. I can counter Swift Recon. Or I could counter... Nope. I'm going to counter this, because if the last card in hand is Walking Ballista, I don't get another shot. Really wish I played Wasteland in my deck right now. The upside of you just lose to your pact is so high. Okay, Plow the Druid. And they've had enough, tapped it right out. 2 and 3 result here, playing against a weird, really weird league, actually. The Sneak and Show into Double Dredge and then Swift Recon combo at the end. Crazy spread of matchups here. And as far as the fundamental thesis of the deck of we have control elements, but we can hit a gas pedal if we want to. Kinda. That did happen. I did cheese in a bunch of Uros and Nulldrifters, and they're also both just fine to play for 3 mana and get your cards back. Really, the strength of a deck like this one relies on how good Consign, Stifle, and Dress Down actually are in the metagame. If, like my Eternal Weekend deck last year, where I pivoted onto Dreadnought so I could main deck Consign specifically into the Mystic Forge combo metagame, that's a moment where doing something like this makes a ton of sense. But if your opponents are going to be on like Delver, where Consign's a blank, Dress Down's a blank, and Stifle has some application, like if you're on the play and snag their first land, they might just stumble and die. But you do have 6 bad cards in your deck versus a deck like Delver. Like I said at the start in the deck tech, like if you have a ton of Mystic Forge combo or Doomsday or Eldrazi in your metagame, play 4 Consigns and 2 Dress Downs. It's fine. You could play 4 Stifles and make this deck even more aggressive, but I think Stifle is worse than both of these other cards. Just overall, big picture. And that's where this deck is going to live or die. Do your enablers actually line up as magic cards versus your opponent, or are they just like, if Consign to Memory in your hand is basically like holding Show and Tell, waiting to draw a monster, it's bad. I really like Uro in that spot. I mean, obviously, I like Uro, hello. But Uro being both exactly what a mid-range or control Bant deck wants to do and also pays out your enablers for Nulldrifter is just the perfect spread here. Maybe the deck should have like 4 Uros and 2 Nulldrifters, like split it the other way. If that's what we're going to do. Do you want 1 Wasteland in case your opponent has Karakas because my Uros were just stone dead against a Karakas? Do you want 1 Karakas of your own that round 1 versus Show and Tell? If I had a Karakas in my deck, that would have been a live out versus their resolved Emrakul. There's plenty of fiddling to be done here in the shell, but as far as the concept goes, you need to make sure that your enablers line up as magic cards versus your opponent, or else you're just a mid-range deck with 7 blanks. 7 blanks and 4 divinations. That's a lot of blank cards or below rate cards to have in the Legacy format. If you're into this, plenty of tweaking can be done. You could change the colors, you could change whatever. But none of these are embarrassing legacy cards. Every single card in this deck clears the bar of playability and legacy. Maybe you don't need Monastery Mentor, maybe Nulldrifter, that comes with an asterisk, only in specific context, but every card in this list, there's no, like, pursuit of knowledge, or something where it's like, wait, what's that doing in a legacy deck? Plenty of room to work here, no embarrassing cards. If you're dead set on playing basic islands and basic planes in this metagame, exploring the shell might be a good idea. I'm going to leave that here. Brendan, thank you for the opportunity to play this deck. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.